If there's only one thing that I can tell you is there were multiple systemic failures.
Breaking news in Uvalde. State House Committee investigators releasing their preliminary report on the massacre at Robb Elementary. That report detailing law enforcement's disastrous response to the shooting. Hello, everyone. I'm Xavier Walton. That report is the most exhaustive yet on the mass shooting at Robb Elementary. And while investigators found multiple law enforcement failures, they said no one person is to blame. The 77-page report released this afternoon said nearly 400 local, state, and federal officers responded to that scene, but no one assumed leadership and no unified command post was set up. The authors of the report implying the lack of leadership cost lives, writing, quote, "The void of leadership could have contributed to the loss of life as injured victims waited for over an hour for help and the attacker continued to sporadically fire his weapon." We have live team coverage beginning, though, with investigative reporter Cheryl Mercedes with more on the House Committee's findings. Cheryl.
Well, Xavier, this report right here outlines multiple failures, as you said, including communication breakdowns and security deficiencies at the school that could have contributed to the deaths of 19 students and 2 teachers. Now, according to the committee's report, it was not due to a lack of manpower. As you said, there were 376 officers total who responded in some way to the school during the attack that lasted more than an hour. Some of the officers testified the scene as one of, quote, chaos or, quote, a cluster where there was no basic communication or sufficient urgency to take down the gunman. The committee said in its report, quote, the officers, failed to prioritize saving the lives of innocent victims over their own safety, end quote. The committee cited the school district's active shooter response plan, which the consolidated school district chief at the time, Pete Arredondo, signed off on as saying they'll become the person in control of the efforts of all law enforcement and first responders that arrive at the scene. Yet Arredondo, who was one of the first responders on the scene, testified, while you're in there, you don't title yourself. He said, I know our policy states you're the incident commander. My approach and thought was responding as a police officer. The committee also noted that all of the responders who arrived at the school that day, of all of them there, no one took charge. The report goes on into a long list of mistakes made by law enforcement, stating the blame goes beyond any one commander or agency. Members state at the end of the report, and this is powerful stuff here, quote, it is likely that most of the deceased victims perished immediately during the attacker's initial barrage of gunfire. However, given the information known about the victims who survived, it is plausible that some could have survived if they had not had to wait 73 additional minutes for rescue. The report also points out the school did not follow security procedures, such as making sure all the exterior and interior doors are locked at all times. It notes there was no lockdown announcement over the school intercom system, and poor Wi-Fi communication or connection resulted in some teachers not getting the intruder alert. I'll have more on this report tonight at 10. Xavier?
Oh, 77 pages, Cheryl. Thank you so much. And family members, they were given access to the report before it was released to the media. Some of them also met with Uvalde's mayor this afternoon. They are understandably angry. Our Anieli Ruiz joining us live now from Uvalde tonight. Anieli?
Right now, where the press conference just ended with the State House Committee. But I want to show you guys that several press conferences actually taking place right now. The mayor is actually talking in front, as you can hear him. And there's also some more of the family members here on the side. I do want to let you guys know that when we were outside the meeting where family members were supposed to get answers, we spoke to several fathers who tell us they weren't allowed inside. They say they didn't make the list. Now, these are dads who lost their babies in the Uvalde shooting. Take a listen to what they had to say today.
And they said that my name wasn't on the list and I wasn't welcome there, that I had to get out. And I don't know who was overseeing that, but it's not right.
At the end of the day, what were you just looking for?
Answer what happened to my baby, and now I'm not going to know what happened.
And again, a busy day out here in Uvalde. A lot still going on. As you can see behind me, the press conference with the mayor has just started. It's kind of impromptu. He just walked up there after the House committee walked out today. And of course, these parents all looking again for answers, accountabilities. A lot of the people were upset because they didn't get to ask their questions, and the committee members rushed off to a mass with the Archbishop. But of course, we'll continue to follow this and bring you guys the latest here on KHOU. We'll send it back to you.
Aniele, that is just so frustrating. Aniele Ruiz, thank you for reporting there in Uvalde. Well, House investigators also released surveillance video from the hallway of Robb Elementary and some body camera footage. Now, the video is slightly different from what we showed you last week in two key areas. Marcelino Benito is live in the newsroom to explain that part of the story. Marcelino.
Well, Xavier, the video released today is the one families were shown during their private meeting. It is a few minutes shorter than the footage we reported on last week. Two of the key differences: no audio and no shooter on camera. But it still clearly shows a 77-minute failed law enforcement response. Video released by the committee and shown to families begins with an empty hallway. By this point, the gunman already inside the classroom shooting. This is what the committee opted to take out. Video obtained by the Austin American-Statesman and our sister station KHOU last week shows the very beginning of the chaos, from the moment the gunman crashed his truck to when he shot at funeral home workers across the street before casually walking into Robb Elementary. The video obtained last week shows the shooter walk towards the classroom, and you hear the first gunshots fired from the hallway into the class. You also see a young boy narrowly miss running into the gunman. He actually witnesses the first spray of gunfire before running to safety. Other than those two moments, both videos identically the same. You see officers run in within 3 minutes and rush towards the classroom, only to retreat after taking fire. No one would attempt to breach the class after that for 45 minutes. Both videos show the same failed law enforcement response. Nearly 24 officers in the hallway as 911 calls came in. No one breaching to take out the shooter until 12:50, 77 minutes after the first officers ever arrived. On page 29 of the committee's report, it explains their decision to not include the shooter in the surveillance video released today. They say that was a decision made in agreement with the community in an effort to not glorify the shooter. And just in tonight, the city of Uvalde saying they will be releasing body cam footage from their police officers. They say that will add important context. We'll have more on that when I see you at 10.